Conservation Advisory Council.
Susanna Devine, same thing.
Tracy Shu. Oh, sorry, no, I thought I mean, same.
Tracy, same.
Bill Green,
Jane Dysinger, same.
Jay Westerveld, resident.
EJ Sherlock, member.
Leslie Smith, I don't know what my category is because I'm waiting to be,
Oh.
You'll get your letter soon, is
whatever,
what I've been told.
appointed.
All important queen.
Alright.
Go with it.
Martine, chairwoman.
Joe Westwood, all right.
Waiting on you to do your
Oh,
intro
sorry.
and then we're done.
State your name.
Say my name. Who am I today? I guess I'll be quick, Patrick.
Thank you, alrighty. Now we can stand for pledge of allegiance.
Our flag is there.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright. Next we have approval of the minutes. If everyone take a look at it, are there any recommendations, any amendments?
Well, I did read them and I'll make a motion.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go for it. Guess a motion to approve and then we'll have discussion, after that. So,
You need a second to have the discussion.
yes, alright, so we've got our second, so motion EJ, second Susanna. Any edits, amendments, corrections, deletions? Did everyone read it?
Yes.
Excellent. Alright, seeing that there are no amendments, deletions, corrections, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alright, minutes are approved. Next we have our old business, report on the pop-up repair cafe. Or the
Okay.
repair cafe. and the-
Right.
So
Yes,
we're in very good shape. We have 16 coaches that have volunteered summer seasons. We tried to get one seasoned person with each of the categories. And by the way, we also got a computer person, thanks to Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
So we're in really good shape. Susanna's done a fabulous job on all the publicity and the signs and the beautiful tags, name
Reusable,
tags and all of
reusable.
that.
Mhm.
Yes,
All
reusable,
reusable.
very, very recycling worthy.
Good.
I do have a couple of, well, you're gonna mention the signs. For the volunteers for Saturday, I have Elizabeth, Betty Ann, EJ, Bill, Tracy, and Susanna, and me. Is there anybody else?
I'll try to be there.
Okay.
Can't commit yet.
Okay,
Oh, no, we,
it's Saturday, November 2nd.
actually,
You can let me know. Good, no, okay, got it. Okay, thank you, Clint. I will be getting the key to the senior center, so I will be there Friday, at 3:00, if anybody wants to join me. Susanna's made the signs for the tables. We do have a little hitch, there's gonna be voting machines in there, so, I need to get in there to, I did speak to Michelle about it, so I think we're under control, but
Okay,
we'll
so they'll manage that, right?
yeah, they'll manage that, yeah. Because it was right where we were gonna have the welcome table, so that's all taken care of, okay. For the information tables, I have Elizabeth, Tracy, EJ, and Bill. Susanna, I have for photography, Susanna, if that's okay. And you'll kind of be floating,
Yep.
cause
Yep.
the information table, you're great at that and engaging people and stuff,
Oh, good.
so do you mind jumping
I'm
back and forth?
Best of that.
Okay, and then we are gonna have a refreshment table. So, right now, we're doing, apple cider as the beverage,
From Ox Orchards, donated, thank you very much.
okay? And do you wanna,
Penning's, apple cider donuts, and, napkins, and paper cups, and water, a gallon of water or two from ShopRite.
Okay,
If anyone feels, hey there, possessed that they'd like to
Betty,
bake
yes.
something that's not too crumbly, feel free, but I'd rather keep this light and not a lot of
Okay.
leftovers.
I can bring some fruit if you want. Do you want me to bring some fruit? Or, it's up to you.
Work that out.
Okay, we will, okay. Okay, is there anything else that I might not have covered that anybody has any questions about? No? Okay, I think we're good.
The only question I have is signage.
Oh, yes,
We
right.
have, I put 2 signs out, one in front of the town hall, one in
I've
front of the
seen
senior
that one. Looks
center,
really good.
with permission
Mhm.
from the, town clerk. We now have 8 signs left, and I want to spend our signs in the most advantageous way, and I am lost on this particular choice because there's so many damn signs out there.
Yeah, I know, that's the problem.
Time.
But I was thinking, cause I came back from Westchester today, on exit 126, where you're sitting at the stop sign and you make the left, that's a good place, and there's only 3 political signs there right
Okay.
now.
So I'm
So
happy to put
is that
out.
one, you know,
Can I send an email around so that you guys can chime in on that, cause I don't wanna be the.
For locations?
Yeah.
So if anyone has ideas for locations, just
Just-
send them to.
well,
us.
actually, do you, I mean, if somebody has a location near the house, wouldn't it be easier if they just took them? Is
I'll
that
ta-
okay
I'll
if we
take
spend
one.
2 minutes on that?
Okay.
Okay, so EJ, where are you gonna?
Oh, Main Street somewhere.
Alright, so
Probably-
Maine,
I have 10 total, so far 2 are put up.
Betty Ann, you're doing Surrey,
I can do Surrey. I could also do one coming out of the academy. But there's not a lot of political signs there. They're spread out.
okay, and does that get a lot, I would assume that gets a lot of mom traffic?
I think so.
Speak up.
Or I could put it, as you come into off of Ward Road, a lot of people take a shortcut.
Okay, so that's, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we
You have
have
an
4
attraction?
more.
We could put one by 93 Brookside, right near Orange Trust, where people slow down for that light, because we
Oh,
own
that's a
that
good
building.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay, should I attach the metal stakes for you guys, because it's just a tiny bit tricky, because you have to really get
Okay.
it in the center.
Sure.
It's not gonna be too cumbersome to take it to all composed.
Alright, so you'll be able to
Okay.
take that tonight, and you'll be able to take yours, and
Okay.
EJ will take yours?
You don't have to assemble
by my
mine.
side of
Okay.
town.
Okay,
Just
and
do it
this
with
is
care, because we
just
won't ever
general,
use
where would
these
that
for
be?
years to come.
I'm staying by Chop and Fire on Lakes Road, right?
Lakes
There'll
Road,
be 4
okay.
leaving tonight.
Okay, so that's 5.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's fine.
So we
Who's
have
the
3
fifth
more
one?
left.
How about
Any
the
thoughts?
How about the entrance to the Chester Mall?
They kind of frown on that,
They do,
ShopRite.
yeah.
They take the sign away.
No.
That's a really good idea, but
Yeah, I was hoping private property that people would give us the okay to do it on.
Is there a way to do it on LaRue and Kings Highway, so people who don't know it that well would know to turn there?
Good
You
idea.
mean on the day of? Or now, in
No,
anticipation?
as a
Okay.
place,
Perhaps with an arrow.
I was thinking about MacGyvering some kind of arrow that sticks into it.
Okay.
To be determined. Yeah.
okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4,
You
5,
also
that's
have
6,
that
so we've
iron
got 2
fence
more.
post.
If there are more ideas, we can just send
Okay.
them.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll
Maybe,
email.
maybe on Saturday,
Okay,
I'll help on Saturday. and
Anything
I'll
else you
bring
have?
some stuff.
okay. Sweet.
Okay, so you'll coordinate with Susanna. Okay, that's really all I have.
Good.
I think we're pretty much set. What I would like is if all our volunteers, our members could get there at 9 o'clock or a little before. The coaches will be arriving between 9:15 and 9:30, and they will be setting up. And then I would like to have a short orientation of everybody at about 20 to 10. The door's gonna open to the public at 10 o'clock. So, if that works for everybody.
And tell
Okay,
your friends, because we need people there. I would
Yes,
like
we
more
do.
people than coaches.
yep, yep,
That would be nice.
yep,
So,
okay.
thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. You've really done a lot of hard work and, you know,
Hopefully
Yeoman's
we'll be
work,
able to
really.
do it into
It's-
next year, as one of the sharpeners pointed out, Fred, it doesn't happen in one time. It's a process,
Right.
so,
So we'll
and I
build
don't
an
think
audience
if we don't get a lot of people, it's not like,
We're eating a lot of donuts.
we're eating a lot of donuts, exactly.
okay, that sounds good.
Okay,
But, when it's all over, then we can sort of look at it
Yeah.
and figure out how it fits into the Climate Smart work. Alrighty, so for new business, and I haven't received a reply yet regarding Brandon's whereabouts, so when he gets here, we'll make our amendments as necessary. So next is the NAPS view, projects and recommendations. So if you'll recall, as part of the grant that the town is moving on, there was some interest in having a new entity formed around its actual restoration and preservation and master planning, so that way things aren't happening ad hoc on it. Right, so I
I'm
think that
sorry,
was part
this
of.
is a grant.
It's separate from the grant, I'm talking about the recommendations that came out of that work that was.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm not caught up, okay.
So the discussion really is about what we would like to recommend in relationship to all those extra comments that came about having a master planning process, recommending that the town create an entity that would actually work on NAPS view, do the master planning, the public engagement, et cetera, so that we weren't sort of piecemeal working on NAPS view. That includes the mowing and everything else being the steward organization. So I'd sort of like to have this more formalized conversation if we're going to make a recommendation to the town, because it's not our work. Unless the
Well,
town gives it to us.
one of the things is that it would be nice if the grant writer could look for grants that would assist the town in putting together a master plan.
Mhm.
Yes, a master plan for NAPS, that's one of the thoughts. An entity though, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, like you said, unless the town board's passing that to us.
Right.
On the things they're asking us to do. But there would be a master plan committee for that, maybe.
Is the town in a situation where it can take donations for Max View? Cause I would imagine that over time, other than grants, local people's gathering money from people would be something that a entity could be useful in doing, and coordinating volunteers.
Well, I think.
And I don't know if it's an official town entity, whether they could do that, or it could be a public-private partnership. And then the entity would be stewardship of Maps View, the town said that they would work with it. And I just don't know enough, maybe the town can start up its own entity, but I don't know the legalities of
I
it.
think that's why you see so many friends group, or friends of Sterling Forest, or friends of Spurious Parks, cause then a nonprofit, a separate entity can take donations, where I think some of the government entities have problems with donations for a particular purpose.
So like, for example, the Friends of the Orange County Arboretum,
Yeah, exactly.
which basically runs the greenhouses and all of that, and,
So as I recall, it was a few meetings back, like you did have that recommendation of having a friends of, and we sort of, we didn't do anything about that, but as we're moving forward in supporting the town's grant writing on it, I would, rather than having these sort of ideas pop up and then pop up and die, and feeling as if we either haven't made a recommendation or decided we're not gonna make a recommendation. I would hate to see that continue to pop up, given the number of initiatives that are being directed at NAPSI. So whether it's the pollinator garden, the invasive species removal, et cetera, making sure that the mowing is happening off cycle so that we're not killing the bobolinks and other things. So all of that, like notice we've made recommendations here, sort of kitchen table, but they aren't formalized in any way, and so it's sort of unhelpful if they don't leave this table and go to the town as actual recommendations that help to preserve open space and allow us to do the sort of surveying work that is part of our mission. So that's what the conversation is, but I sort of feel like there's a reticence either to have it or a lack of interest at this point.
Well, I think the mowing is that's kind of like key right now. And of course, there were a lot of issues with the mowing in terms of the town not having the right equipment to do the mowing or to do the mowing effectively. I don't know where they stand in terms of if they have made a bid to have somebody do the mowing. We've tried to push it back as far as we possibly can so that everything can go to seed and everything can do what it needs to do. But at some point, we do need to consider the mowing, because otherwise we won't have a field, so, I think that, yeah, that's one of the pieces that we kinda can't sit back on forever. They're gonna ask us about, you know, what is our recommendation for the mowing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, just in terms of though an outside service, I don't think that's a good, personally, I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, at least, you know, with the town people doing it, you could say, okay, this is
Yeah.
exactly what we want done, as opposed to, you know, is an outside person gonna send somebody in?
Yeah.
And, you know, all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch more mowed, and it's kind of an oops
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
or-
I think the only issue was with the town is that they felt they didn't have the right equipment to be able to do the mowing. And what happened is that, you know, the mowing hasn't been done for a while, so there's a lot of growth that's there, so it's not gonna just,
Yeah.
it's not just a easy mow. And honestly, I don't know anything about the particulars of brush hog as opposed to these things or that, but what they said was, well, we don't really even have the equipment to be able to do that mowing right now, which was good when we needed them not to mow, so that was perfect, it was like, good, don't mow. But at some point, they might. Now, if that means that they have to buy a X amount of dollar thing, or do they contract it out? I mean, I think that still needs to be worked out. I don't think we've figured that piece out yet.
Right.
And I understand what you're saying, once we contract it out, like what control
What
do we
control,
have
yeah, exactly.
over them coming in and saying, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said that you wanted all of this destroyed.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I understand that.
I
And
do
the we
think,
on that is really the town, I mean, for the most part, right? I mean, that's sort of where the contracting and
Yeah,
the
oh, yeah, yeah,
decision
yeah.
making, so
Yeah,
in terms of
absolutely.
that recommendation, it would,
It's just a recommendation.
right, we can only provide advice on that.
I do think that either at the board meeting or the budget meeting, there was conversation about upgrading a particular unit that could do some serious mowing up there. But I don't know how far that's gone in the budget. But that wouldn't be for this year yet either.
Right,
so.
that would be for next fiscal year.
can I make a suggestion? I'm not a member of the
1
thing,
second.
so, yeah.
I was just gonna say, do we really have, any more control with the department doing it versus a vendor? We don't really, you know, if they mow it the way they think they should mow it, doesn't matter who they work for though. If they don't follow instructions. And I think, perhaps a specialized group who focuses on the park might be, a good idea, cause they can spend they have the enthusiasm, they'll be keeping a better eye on it.
Right, I don't see an objection, so go ahead.
If, with something like this, where it's for wildlife, it doesn't have to be mowed annually.
Right,
So,
we know that, yeah, we can do
If
it
you
like
just
on
mow
a-
it, no, I
right.
mean, every
Yeah, yeah.
2 years.
Right,
Just
right.
one mowing every 2 years,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
getting an outside contractor isn't so scary.
Exactly, and that's one
fiscally.
of the things that we tried to sell them on in terms of saying, this is why we wanna do this, we'll be saving you money, cause you won't
Right.
have to do it all the time. And you're right, we could do it either every 2 years, the whole thing, or we could do one portion 1 year and another portion the other year.
Which is better, actually.
Right, I think, because then things have a chance to move around and,
Yes.
yeah, so that might be a possibility.
And
So
the
we
pur-
need to just modify that that management plan we were working on for them to submit, to include, you know, those suggestions.
Right.
Alright, so are there any formal recommendations, any specific motions, or do you wanna sort of, shall we table this to the next and have some committee conversation? I know that you're still working on that initial request from the town. Alright, is there a motion to table, or do you have more you wanna add?
I just was wondering, let's say we were looking for a friends of. What process would we need to go through to try to let the word out that we think that it is a good idea to start a group called the Friends of Knapp's View, who would deal with the stewardship of the land there? And how would, I just don't know how to go from here to there, because otherwise we're gonna just keep bouncing around the same tree.
We did talk about as part of the repair cafe, I know Elizabeth, you had mentioned it, and Suzanne, I think you also, about, you know, when we're talking to people at the information
Mhm.
table, that we have like a little, you know, name, email, and what are your interests, and Naps View could be one of them, you know, pollinator gardens, you know,
Right, well, we'll have the bobbling trifold, so
Right.
then that'll be a perfect way to talk about like why this all happened
Yep.
and where the place is, and maybe we could even have an initial sign up for people who are interested in learning more about it. I mean, that
Right.
might be a good way to get.
yeah, do we have a sign-up sheet, or are we talking about, yeah, cause I mean, yeah, okay, great,
So,
great.
yeah, we definitely wanna do that.
And that'll have like, what are you interested in, kind of thing, with a couple of little ideas, so that they can just check a box? Yeah, that's great, I think that's great, because, yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the other
Would-
part.
Well,
Would it be worth consulting with the town attorney to find out what the mechanisms are for these various, friends groups or?
Well, we
those
could
kind of
do that
things?
if we're looking to be part of it, to figure out if we have the authority to sort of, on behalf of the town, solicit for the creation of a nonprofit. I would probably guess the lawyer would say, we can support an idea that comes in, but I don't know that we can actually sort of generate that. However, we could make a recommendation to the town as part of that, planning, again, that we believe that that's something that should be encouraged, and then let the town solicit itself out. You know, if there are any residents who wish to form a group, let him know, let the town board know. And I think from there, we can find a way to partner with that group, in a way that is more formal. But it definitely isn't something that is ours to create, but it would be something that the town can solicit.
I think that's a good idea to ask the town to consider a particular committee to do that. You know, like they approved our committee,
Right.
so that would,
Exactly,
Yeah.
it would follow the same way.
I think that would be the way to do it, ask the town board to consider it.
So there's a recommendation. Motion second. To make that recommendation. Alright,
Who was the first? I am writing.
we're gonna put EJ as the mover.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, and then it was done.
Yep.
Well, we want you to maintain ownership of the idea, so yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thanks.
Alright, any additional, discussion? No, okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, okay, so we have a recommendation there to the town board. Now, the next is our function and grant RFPs. Now, something that has sort of come to us at least 3 times. I know that, we've been very gung-ho in responding and supporting the work of the town and identifying things that could be grant eligible for the RFPs that they've been seeking. But I also wanna be sure that the way in which we are participating in that doesn't create a new workload that we can't handle. And so I'd love to get, unfortunately Langdon won't be able to join us this evening, he's not feeling well. But I believe it's worth discussing, the experience that you've had in working on grants and where you felt like it stretched too far, and where you think we actually belong in the town's effort to solicit grants. Or should I do this by email so I get more traffic?
You saw my position, I felt that something was rushed upon us, so, I mean, but if it was there, I just think that needs to be worked out better, that if there is an opportunity, we need time to vet it out and see if it's something we can, give information to. This has been really, kind of a short time frame from when they told us when to try to gather information.
Jane?
Also, it's, I think it's the issue of being proactive versus
Hi.
reactive. You know, if we.
Oh, you don't have to.
There's 2 seats here or
Here?
Yeah, there's one here. Here.
Thank you.
Here.
I'll go right here.
it's gonna sit in there?
If we prioritize what we're doing,
That's key.
and we put together, our thoughts about it. I think that the grant writer could be asked to look for certain things that we are looking to focus on and get money for, rather than being in a reactive mode of, hey, this is coming down the pike and, you know, we have 3 weeks. Sorry to be so blunt, but that's the way I feel.
We're at discussion point number 3, function and grant RFPs.
Now, is this a different grant that we're talking about right now?
No,
Or
we're
the
just
one
talking
that's
about grants in general.
just
Like, how do
grants?
we participate in that without, without,
Putting everything else on hold and having to stop and focus on something that may not have been on our list to do, but not that it's not worthy to pursue.
Hmm.
It's just, like, I think you, to piggyback what Jane just said, having everything prioritized to what it is that we want to have.
You've stepped into the deadly world of multitasking.
We all know how to we all know how to multitask,
Yeah,
but
I
it's,
know.
but it's a matter of,
Inundation.
you know, doing things. Sometimes, sometimes you can't do it 100% because you've got all these other things going on. My personal opinion is I would rather do something and do it right and have a success rather than doing this many things and it's kind of mediocre. That's just my opinion.
I agree with
Perfect
that,
world.
really.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we couldn't, make a list of things that we think could be projects that could be funded by a grant
Yes.
and have them kind of waiting in line. That doesn't take a whole lot of effort just to, think about these things ahead of time.
Right, proactive versus reactive.
Yeah. Because I know it's a tremendous amount of work to administer a lot of these grants.
well, the good part so far is that, we're not responsible for the programmatic side, but it's just in the contribution, like wanting to be sure that we are providing the best advice and doing the sort of support work. That also informs our own, understanding of what our role is. So there's a lot of work to be done on that. What I think has worked is actually assigning it as a committee, so that it's not all hands on deck, because it's not necessary to have everyone involved, so it's been good. To delegate that and to continue, and to realize that we don't own the work product, so once our contribution, we've answered a question through committee work, and so it goes off with the town grant writer, and it's not, it's not ours after that.
Is Langdon here?
He's unwell.
He's unwell? I'll give him a call then.
Okay.
Is it okay if I hijack your meeting for just
I
a
was
second?
just gonna say, when, after this piece, yes,
Yeah,
then you
okay.
can go.
Sure.
So, I guess, in thinking through our function and the different experiences, I think when we first participated in the grant, it was sort of at the table, and we all sort of were at the table. But moving it to committee, I feel like actually garnered more depth. So I'd love to get a sense of, which experience would you prefer? That committee or having it come to the table?
Having just participated and still participating
Yep.
until tomorrow at 5 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
I felt that we did need to get more involved. Because, for example, the grant writer did not do a walkthrough of Maps View, so he was not familiar with the property. And actually the write-up that you got, there's a lot in there that is not correct. It seemed like, excuse the expression, they made it up as they went along. And I did talk to Michael, and he, there are some things that need to be shifted around and clarified. But Cliff, you're right. I mean, grant work is not, it's easy to say, okay, we're going to hand over information, but there was a lot of information that needed to be garnered. There was a lot of back and forth. Personally, I don't like doing things like via email, and that's the way it had to be done because it was such a short time frame. We needed to get all the people in the room and to figure out some things, and that obviously couldn't happen because of the short time frame. So, if we get involved in another one, I would like to see it done a little bit differently.
Okay, well, that's something we could also talk to the grant writer about, because remember, it's still his process and we're just
No,
invited in.
exactly,
So
but
it's
it
not our
didn't,
work,
but it
it's-
didn't work out that way,
Right,
so.
because there was a lot more that needed to get done, right.
Yes,
In a very short time span,
Yeah.
after, yeah.
but I don't know if it wasn't just the short time frame. I mean, I don't know exactly what his involvement should have been, particularly since, he didn't know the ins and outs of it.
Well,
It's basically wordsmithing stuff.
right. I told you guys and I told a bunch of the other advisory committees, this is, I make the town, grant writer available to everybody, so you guys as like pseudo representatives of the town, please, it doesn't cost the grant writer any extra time and he doesn't charge us any extra to talk to you guys, so if you want if you wanna talk to him about the process of what it takes to, go into the grant writing and how it make it easier for you guys next time, please feel free to you have his email now, set up a meeting with him,
Alright, we'll definitely do
absolutely.
that.
He has a
We
flat
did,
rate
we did meet,
every month, so.
we did meet with him,
Yeah.
but then he went away for a week, we did as much work as we could do, and
Mhm.
as you know, there was a lot of back and forth with issues with the highway department
Right.
and things like that, and again, that whole group needs to be brought into the process, because, it's kinda like, deer in headlights, excuse my bluntness.
Well, I
but-
imagine you guys probably talked about that during the whole master planning process.
No, we didn't talk about
Didn't talk
that,
about that
we
yet?
just talked about it in general,
Okay, yeah. Well, I think we need to have a much more in-depth conversation about that.
yeah.
I wanna see Nats View as good as it could be.
Mhm.
This grant is a good start to it.
Yeah.
And we're,
The numbers are gonna change, by the
Yeah.
way. Did you see the latest email?
I probably didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just sent it out right before then, so
Mhm.
it's gonna be much more than that. Well, more than that, let me say.
Okay.
So,
Well-
perhaps the thing that we can have at the end of this is having the grant writer, after he's sort of done his work, is to share out, his final, and then we can
Well, he,
have that posted,
yeah, he
and
did,
then
he
let
did produce a final, but it's not ready to be,
so it's not final.
it's not final.
Hmm.
It's a first pass.
Well, it needs to be submitted by tomorrow. And
I
then,
understand.
and then you
New,
can,
he said.
and then you can edit.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be pretty perfect, but it's gonna.
yeah, but it's gotta be,
Gotta get it
it's gotta
done.
be accurate, and
Mhm.
it's not accurate.
We'll have to
Well,
try
that's
to
it.
make it as accurate as possible.
So you let him know that, right, there's a sense that.
No, I already talked to him, he knows,
I'm
I already
talking-
talked to him.
But,
Yeah,
Brandon
yeah,
can-
absolutely, yeah, but I did copy everybody, well, you.
Okay. I'll take a look at the email.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else on that?
Yes.
Yes,
I was just thinking, we often become aware of these grants shortly before you gotta do stuff. But a lot of these grants, repeat every year, every 2
Exactly.
years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Maybe
cycle.
we should be planning ahead, and getting an idea of what will be coming up next year at such and such
Sort of
time.
calendar,
Yeah.
the same ones.
Yeah, that was a question actually we had at the first meeting with the grant writer, and this is the first grant of its kind, and he's thinking that it's gonna go next year, so we originally had a phase one and a phase two, but, we wanted to add in some educational components, so, it was changed around a bit.
So even if we're not successful this year,
right.
it's coming back again
We'll
next year.
improve, we can improve upon it.
Mhm.
Alright, so we've mixed two conversations, but what it sounds like is depth comes from having that committee, but also James' recommendation that in having a discussion with the grant writer, that we also ensure we are in a group meeting with other agencies that may be involved, so that
Mhm.
way pieces are coming together at one, we're hearing the ideas all together, and not everyone sort of touching the elephant and deciding that's what it is from our own area. So,
I usually end up with the tail.
that's really terrible. Okay, so if
But I
there's
do-
no more on that, I'd
No,
like
just,
to-
no,
go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say that I'd like, next time we'll have more time, but we definitely wanna, like Jane said, luckily we're seeing the product before it's final, because we can improve upon it with the accurate information. So, but it's a lot on Jane that she's taken on this
Well, that's
last
part
time.
of committee work, I
I know.
didn't get, so.
I know, I'm just saying, it was a lot thrown on a few, but
Just
So it's
as
an
an aside, does anybody know how old the oak trees are, the two oak trees, the generational oak trees are on Knapp's View?
Weren't there like
Does
200 or
anybody know?
300 something?
There are at least 200 or 300, I'd like to get a more,
It's so cool to me
yeah.
that they were like
They're
there while
gorgeous.
like
Mm-hmm.
Revolution and
Yeah.
Civil War stuff was
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
The
And
red,
that's a
the
lot of
red
things.
cedars are older, actually, up in the back corner.
Really?
Yeah, the right rear corner, those are much
Oh,
older.
really?
Yeah,
Do you know how
They're
old
not
the
big.
oaks are?
I don't, over 200,
Yeah,
certainly.
yeah. I was just gonna say two to 300. 'cause-
You can see them in old
Yeah.
lithographs, even those
Yeah.
same oaks,
Yeah.
and they don't look much smaller,
Yeah.
which is funny.
Alright. So we'll
How old are the
we'll
cedars?
do that. Alright,
What's that?
Cedars, said they were older.
Yeah, they're supposedly pre-revolutionary. I mean, that's where
Wow.
the grave is and everything. Those things are ancient.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah, they don't look really great because they're not huge, but they're spectacular.
Mm.
okay. So this is the point where I'd like to, if there's no objection, amend the agenda so that we can hear from Town Supervisor Rich. No objection being
No
heard?
objection.
No,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I promised my girlfriend I'd have dinner with her at least one time this week, and this was the day. So
Here's the day.
yeah, I need to like get out of here. One, I just wanted to congratulate the committee on the council on the work that went into the grant that's going to be submitted tomorrow. I know, like I said earlier, it wasn't picture perfect and everything, but I understood and I saw that there was a lot of work that went into it. I attended one of the grant Zoom meetings, so I just wanted to congratulate everybody who works directly on that and into that, because I saw how much work it went into it, and it was a very condensed timeline. So congratulations, and it's a great grant because there's a no-lose situation. There's no match to it, so no one has to worry about taxpayers paying bills or whatever. So good job on that. Seriously, I hope to see more out of the council.
Jane,
Yeah.
Langdon,
Yay.
Leader,
Mhm.
AJ.
Yeah, no, seriously, please give yourselves a pat on the back.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, couple things, with Knapp's View specifically, I know I CC'd some of you guys on the committee, there is, TAM, T-A-M, I don't know, what it stands for, but it's a company, that our highway department kinda works with sometimes for certain projects, and they, I believe, were contracted by the county to mow the LaRue property, not the LaRue property, the on LaRue property, yeah, the Palmer property on LaRue Road. And so I had, I know that we had been kind of looking into, possibly annually or biannually, not biannually, every 2 years or something, mow Knapp's View in order to, make sure that it comes in at the right time and everything. We wanna make sure that we do it at the times that, the bobolinks and all the other, species that we wanna protect, it doesn't get mowed on when those are in. So, I'm trying to set up a meeting with Tam, to go, and some of the members on this, council to go and, to Knapp's View and be with them and kinda tell them what we would like to see and see if they're able to do what we're kinda looking for. So I just wanted to kind of make that known to the full council. I don't know if that was already made known to you guys, but I know that was in the back of my head. I know it's been a thing that we want to make sure happens. So, yeah. So that's that update. And then the other day update is, and this is more of a question to. I'm glad that we have a village representative here tonight. Where are we? I guess and this actually kind of speaks to something that I kind of heard in the undertones of some of the other things that were said earlier. I want to obviously expand, the amount of membership here because I want there to be people here to do all the jobs that we want to get done. So I know that we have been working with the village possibly on getting a new person that might be two.
Right? Did we get
Well,
a letter?
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten up yet.
Oh, okay.
Did she before you? No, not yet.
Okay. The letter is pending for Leslie and EJ. EJ's been a part, but not a voting member.
Okay.
No, actually,
No,
he's.
he's a
he's
voting
voting
member.
member.
is.
It was
Oh.
just a
Oh,
matter of
yeah.
because
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
He's one of the founders.
Oh, we're gonna
Yes,
get
One of the founders.
He is the founder.
Yeah.
He went to
He's the founding
went to
father.
EJ. Yes, absolutely.
So Leslie.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's
And
and
Cliff.
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 Okay. And that's wonderful, and I'll await that letter. But I think, we should definitely look to, expand further, even if they're not if they're non-voting members. And, I'd like to see if we can get some, specialists or, what are the words for them?
Professional.
Professionals,
Experience.
and not to say that you guys aren't but there's a certain type of person that we would like to try to see if we can get in here. I don't know if Chester has that type of person in its community, but, we definitely want to see that, here to help you guys with all this. I mean, I'm sure it would have been great to have somebody, expert's the word I was looking for, with the whole NAPSU thing and moving forward with the NAPSU thing, but that's not just the only thing, we wanna look at the full picture here, so.
We did have
I-
some help with Sonia Mason, who
Yes.
was helping us with some.
Where is she from?
Gosh, I don't know,
Greenwood
but
Lake.
she moved.
Greenwood,
She-
she lives around Greenwood Lake.
Okay.
No, well, she moved though, further down the county, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, when we went on our walk, she was moving further away, and she was lamenting being
Was
far
it
away from
The
us.
kids there, I'm not sure.
Yeah, she's not happy, but
Okay.
but she was wonderful because she's offered to come back and do seed gathering where we can go around, like we can start to learn what plants are there that we want to continue to establish and grow. Because she did a walkthrough with us, and said, you know what, it's not that bad.
Mhm.
This is a pretty healthy, really rich field with a lot of natives in it. So if we could do some gathering of seeds, she was talking about doing that, and then we were talking about doing pulling out some of the mugwort,
Mugwort,
which is
yeah.
growing there, and then doing like a test garden. So
Okay.
something for people to learn.
That's
about
actually
what's
part
going
of the grant.
on. Right. So I knew that all of those
Yeah.
pieces were
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I was in the background for that, but
Yeah.
I definitely reached out to Sonia because
And
I knew
also
she had-
doing a public workshop about it,
Yes, yeah.
Great.
yeah.
That's
about-
good to hear. But, so if we can strategize on how to, I guess, advertise for even more, I know what it's like, to have a lot going on and, feel burnt out and everything, and I don't want that to be, the members of this committee as well. I want you guys to have a really good support system around you, and if that means if we can get more members in order to do that, even if they're non-voting, that'd be great. I just, yeah, go ahead.
How many more village people would you like?
We'll take all the village.
There's no limit. There's no limit.
CA.
I was
We
waiting.
obviously,
Susanna.
we obviously want people who are going to be committed and who are
Oh, yeah.
have some sort of idea of what this stands for, not just some anybody that
Right.
that
We don't need them.
yeah, but we want people who are committed and knows kind of what this is
You
about
interested?
and
Excuse me?
You
everything.
interested?
I don't think so, no. Thank you.
We did talk
Yeah.
about, you weren't here earlier, one of the things about when we have an event is that's when we're gonna have a room full of bodies of people that we can speak to. So that's what, at this next event, we're gonna have an informational table where we're gonna be able to talk to the people coming,
Cool.
and then kind of feel out
Try to
what their
campaign.
interests, and hopefully maybe
And
we
actually
meet
get names.
and we'll get names and meet,
And emails.
and I know, and we'll
Yeah,
see who we
well, we're
meet.
gonna get them anyway from the registration
Good.
form, but the information table will have like a little thing that says, are you interested in birds? Naps View, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah.
Can I,
Okay.
So
Would
the
be
thing
good
that
thing.
would be helpful, right, in terms of thinking this through is, we've got our voting members, we also currently benefit from having residents who are participating, in discussions
Mhm.
and as well as in the committees. And the committees so far are a great way to get, sort of non-voting members, I just wanna call, just getting more people
Mhm.
involved. And that has probably been a very welcome and positive experience in benefiting, for instance, Langdon, and he brings that forestry background, which is something that, that's not just an application, it's something that he's actually one of the foresters, volunteers that gets called, he's one of
Yeah.
the 200 some odd people
Yeah.
that the state calls in when private owners have, large tree stands or forest on their property.
That's
So
great.
we've benefited from that, and then obviously we get the historical, parts. I consider, we didn't know about that well on Kings Highway, that public well, until, Cliff spoke about it, so we're
Uh-huh.
benefiting a lot. And so I'd like to see more of that, and that also is a no pressure, so that if people don't have a lot of time to give, they can sort of come in and out, but at least we would have those
Yeah.
connections to expertise.
That's great.
Yeah, there's no objection, go ahead.
I'm trying to understand, I'm hearing about a grant, pulling mugwort, a lady named Sonia, seed collecting. I've been trying to follow what's going on with this, and this is the first I've heard of these things. And I'm here in Chester. There are a lot of experts. Certainly, Mike Mallon, who's on the planning board, he'd be wonderful for this kind of thing. But I don't see any of this information or meeting minutes being posted online. And I don't know why that is. Like, well, I'm just
I
hearing
believe
about
our
the.
minutes are online.
Mike Mallon
should
They're
Mike
not.
Mallon has been approached,
Okay,
but he's involved in other things that he wants to concentrate on.
understood.
The meeting minutes have been sent to Linda, correct?
Yeah, they're sent every month.
Maybe you wanna follow up with her and make sure that they're up
Yeah.
there?
I know that we also talked to her about, sort of changing the way in which our page on the website
Yeah, 'cause
looks,
we need to fix
so that we
too.
can do something more editorial, so that people have an idea of
What's going
what
on?
we're doing,
Yeah,
other than having to comb through the minutes.
that'd be great.
Yeah,
that's
2
a
weeks
shame.
after every meeting, they should be up there, and they're not. I don't see meeting minutes.
They're not on any of the boards. I mean, I already complained about.
But
the
by
planning
law,
board
they're
as well.
supposed to be.
It's an internal process perhaps.
What do you mean by any of the boards?
Well, maybe not your board, but the planning board. I haven't seen
We've already
minutes of it
discussed
yet.
with the
I
planning
know,
board
so I
that
haven't
that's
seen
some
minutes. I
problems,
just
but I
complained.
didn't know that these weren't up.
I just complained.
They're not.
Those.
In fact, I've been foiling your meeting minutes, and I haven't even gotten an answer
I
on
didn't
that
even know
yet.
that.
Well, it
Yeah.
goes to the town clerk, it's not us.
What's that?
I'm answering Tracy's question.
Oh,
She's saying that they've been submitted by, I'll follow up with town clerk
Okay.
to see why that's been the case. They should be posted. So that's a
But we do
problem.
have I don't like the website. I didn't like that it's we gotta submit to her, then she's gotta submit to somebody else. I really wanted us to have our own and then have a link so that we can
Mhm.
update timely, and it's not this past, but I don't know the internal workings of the town, but I've looked at other towns' websites, and I found one that, I can't remember, I found it way in the beginning of our, when it started, and it was amazing. It had so many links and all the, not just this, but all information for people. And I just don't think that the town's website can do what I'm envisioning that we should have based on what I've seen other CACs are
Well,
able to
if
do.
you have recommendations, we can.
Well, we would need we would need a whole
We-
other
we-
page
we
like
did that.
that's the thing, yeah,
So it was sent over, and I think that's a conversation that's pending.
yeah.
With who?
Town clerk through the web person.
One person. So there's a lot going, that's what you're saying, we're talking about a lot of things going on, we're still like backpedaling to the beginning things that we
Yeah.
wanted to get done, so.
Yeah, this
But then new
information-
things keep coming, and we're trying to.
Well,
not
don't be
updated.
afraid to follow up with
You're right, it's
the
not
town clerk or,
It's not been
Yeah.
things don't get done until, unless you continuously, like, hey, what's going on with this, hey, what's going on with this, so maybe every couple weeks, just be like, hey, what's going on?
But like I
with
said,
this?
I don't know that it has the functionality, it
It
can
could,
be,
yes.
can it?
They
I mean,
just
you would
have to-
know, cause you're the
No doubt,
expert.
it's absolutely set up for the framework to get a PDF
Okay.
file on
The
there,
way
it's
we
not a
want it.
problem.
The way
It
we-
just has to happen.
Okay,
But perhaps with the recruitment in general, maybe we can just put like a little, just like, an easy flyer together
Mhm.
to try to, hand out to.
well, we've been
We
working on
already
it,
have,
we've been working
we,
on
we're
it.
almost ready for the repair cafe.
It'll be
Good.
at the
And
repair
we
cafe.
can post that online, I can post it
Exactly,
on my
yeah,
page,
these are the things we
and,
wanna do,
looking for experts, looking for people who are interested in everything,
that's what we have ready.
yeah. So, I'd like that to be done, but, I don't wanna take up too much more of your time, that's basically it.
I could be the nag for the, minutes
Yeah,
moving forward, okay?
maybe you could shoot Linda an email
Yep.
tonight.
Will
No?
do.
Okay, great.
Yep.
And then, I'd love to hear after the fact, what the discussion comes of the, the planning board and site visits thing, cause I understand that that is a point of contention between this and the planning board, and I want to smooth that out, so that is no longer a point of contention anymore.
So if there's no
So-
objection, we can amend the agenda again and
Mhm.
push the bylaws down and.
No, I'm gonna head out,
Okay.
but so I can't say for,
So
but
you're not
but
gonna-
after the fact, if you guys can, I know, I wish I could.
Is that why you're beeping?
Yes,
Okay.
but please let me know what comes of that,
Okay, so we'll
so
leave
I
it as
can,
is.
I just wanna, as a general point, I'm coming here because I want you guys to know that I'm at your disposal, I want to help you guys succeed, so please, just let me know what you need of me and I will get it done. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime, I think most of the people in this room have my cell phone number,
Could
so.
I just ask one tiny question,
Sure.
just backing up to that TAM thing, so are you just walking the property for him to give you a bid, or is this like a done deal?
We don't, this is preliminary, this is,
Okay,
like,
okay,
they don't even know what we want from them, so,
Okay.
I'd like somebody from here to be there, and I'd like somebody from the highway department to be there, so we can have a full conversation about what are we kinda looking for, so they can give us an idea of even if they can do it, and if they can do it, how much it's gonna cost and what are the parameters of it and everything. All I know in my head, because I'm not into it as much as you guys are, is I know we are trying to look for it to be done only once every 2 years, and there's only certain sections of it to be done, and we wanna make sure that it's not at the times that the bobolinks and some other species are being, are doing their thing. So that's all I know.
good.
And
But-
the town can't do it because,
Or we just don't have the equipment or the manpower at the time. That's what I got from my parks department and my town, my highway department. That's what I've been told.
Could Belleville help us out?
Perhaps I didn't think of that or reach out to them. This isn't something that's on my active plate, but I know this is something on your active plate. So maybe we can.
At
Maybe if
one
somebody
time,
hasn't-
we had someone that was mowing for the hay.
mm-hmm.
I guess that's.
And they are very environmentally,
Oh, Belleville?
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
They
know.
get it.
Yes, I
know,
mean, they
they
get
know.
it, they know.
Well, then maybe
So-
somebody wants to reach out to them who has a contact there. I do not.
You don't?
I think maybe Roy is his name. Roy?
Yes, Roy.
I don't know.
Maybe I do have Roy's number. I'll reach out to Roy. But yeah, I'm at your disposal. Please let me know what you need from me. I'm sorry to hijack the
Go to
meeting.
dinner.
Thank you
Go
so
to
much.
Go to dinner.
You can get in trouble.
Good to see that you're feeling better.
Oh, I'm
Very
getting there. Thank you, thank you.
Have a nice night, guys.
Take
Bye.
care,
Good
thanks
night.
for coming.
Alright. So next up, bylaws update, and, it's more administrative than anything. The changes in that document are looking to switch the ands to the ors when it comes to the chair and co-chair, or chair or co-chair. And, that was really the big one. So, are there any other, and the way that they read with that change makes more sense in terms of administering the work of the organization.
Do we wanna try to get that approved this evening?
I would love to. But first, making sure everyone actually read it.
Yep. I have to be honest, Martine, with everything going on in the list, I really have not.
So that
I'm
we should,
sorry.
Yeah, I
should
wouldn't
not
mind
work on
another
that
go
tonight.
round either.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
Not a
Can we
problem.
make a motion to table
Motion
it
to
to the
table.
next?
So
It's, there's no particular reason it has to be done ASAP, right? It's just, okay.
Could you send that to the non-voting members, cause we have never seen bylaws,
Okay,
I mean, just for information, not to vote,
Mhm.
sure.
thank you.
Tell you what, we'll have the town put it up on the website. So.
Oh, God.
Will we?
When it's-
But also,
As a
after it's
draft.
approved?
as a draft, with giant
Draft.
draft on it,
Mhm.
so that way it's clear it's not complete.
Okay, so let's talk about just really quickly, how to get Lindsay the information from us, because that's an important point.
It goes
Well, it's
to-
legal,
it's in
yeah,
the email.
you have to.
It goes out after we've approved it, now that the process has been changed for approval,
Right,
it goes after our meeting is done.
it goes to her.
It goes to her. So if you look on that email, when you
Yes,
get it, she's
yes.
on it,
Okay,
so she gets
but
it.
is that a flag to her to know to send it to the website person?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
alright,
I've
so maybe
asked,
just an email the next day saying, just make sure if you could,
but I'll ask her why it hasn't gone up.
okay.
I know that you said you wanted to do the tickler, but it's something that,
Yeah, no, feel
it's
free.
just part of our function with her, so
Okay.
she's always on it. She's aware that minutes go up on the website.
Right,
So
And I know they're-
unless it lives someplace else, I don't know, but
Their
it's
web
that-
person
it's
is
not
not-
connected to our
And-
page.
And
And
as,
perhaps, oh, sorry.
and as Jay mentions, there are rules about timeliness.
Right,
and
they
we
need
meet
to be
them.
reminded.
yes.
Yeah, we're doing it, it's just, I will not
No, no,
follow
no.
up to see that it was done.
I don't mean from our end. I
Yeah.
mean from the posting end, making it public.
Yes, there's no objection, go ahead.
When I filed my FOIL, excuse that verbiage, September 10th, I was told, I checked in 2 weeks later, and I was told she had nothing back from any of you. Linda Zappa said she has nothing from this committee.
No, no minutes ever?
Nothing. And she said, well, they just lost a secretary, so
Yeah.
maybe it got lost there, but that doesn't make sense. You know, by open meetings law, section 106, you have 2 weeks. And if you don't,
We got it done.
you know,
She
your
received
movements
them.
get dumped.
Well,
So
just-
it's,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want that to
Their
happen.
web person is a little less proactive than that person might be, so I don't know who to put the blame on, but
Who is the web person? Is it someone
I don't know
there?
what his name is, but I'll find that out.
He's not, he's like from Windsor or something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's a
It's-
subcontractor,
He's
it's
not
not a,
subcon-
they
he's
don't
not-
do it, they don't do anything in-house much.
And nobody does, unfortunately,
It's
with
town in New
agencies.
Windsor, then.
Okay,
Town in New
but
Windsor.
anyway,
So, yeah, we've got them adopted and it's, you know, and I know the law, if we have a website, it's supposed to be up there. So I just complained about the planning board, on the
Okay.
same matter, so I didn't follow up to see why it wasn't happening, I just assumed they weren't doing it, but maybe there was a other problem that we're not aware of. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
we will strive to work harder on that, Jay, and everybody.
Doesn't affect me.
Well, obviously you want it, so it does, it's important.
So,
Planning
board.
board.
and development site visits. So the update is that there is a new form that's been pushed through town supervisor that the planning board chair has acquiesced to that includes the advisory council on the form that developers have to check to say that they have provided, that they have to give us access, site access. So that's the first time that's ever happened.
It's a big deal.
It is, because we were getting a runaround
Yeah.
for 2 months there, 3 months.
Yeah.
One attorney would say one thing and the
Yeah.
attorney or the other board was saying something different.
So now it's
Now we just got the
formal.
form,
So it's on the
next
form.
project, they sign it.
So whose eyes are looking at these plans and such?
Well, that's the thing,
So now when the applications go up on
we don't have
online,
that process done yet, that's the next step, to try to get the planning board, like, it's up to us to watch the agendas, we still don't have that connection.
Right.
Like, we're not in a
They're-
process,
They
we're
don't
not
have
in
an
a
interest in
notification.
having a liaison on the COs.
So
So,
that would have been easier,
and I think as we mature as a council, I feel like they will take us, into consideration more quickly. I think it's still an issue of just, practice, that they've never had to alert anyone beforehand, and so it's something that will come. Now that that form has actually been approved, I think we will be, top of mind for the first time, but they haven't had to before.
Okay.
So again, they're still getting used to having another group in the mix. I see your hand, I just want to finish my comment. So I think the next item on their list, I'm waiting to see if they reach out first, or do I have to say, hey, now that this form is out and it's formal, let us know when your application when the next opportunity comes. But we also don't have to rely on them to do the site visit, which is the important part of that form, that it doesn't say planning board and, like, we're not bound to each other. So we can go on our own, which is what's important, and that's the thing that they too will have to get accustomed to. Yes.
Thank you. It's really crucial, and Tracy knows more about this than I do, to try to get you guys to do site visits before there's a determination of lead agency for EISs. And if you guys can somehow get on the leading edge of that before they've made those determinations and become a part of that determination, that's really why CACs exist. And if you can get that verbiage in there, that's where you have to be included, that's kind of important.
well, I've been talking to the town board about revising the town code with procedure, because that's the problem, there's no procedure. We're not in a procedure process.
So it hasn't changed,
No, so this was the very first step, was to get us, at least we jump-started.
which is huge.
The next step was, get us, our feet on the ground, but yes, we wanna be, part of that process, which we haven't yet figured out.
What you've done is huge,
How
all
we're
of
gonna
you
get that
guys.
done is, the next step, but.
Yes,
Is that something that could happen in the village as well?
Let's find out if you'd like.
I'm assuming they have the same similar form.
You guys can't legally do it, though. You can't, as
Well,
weird as that sounds, a
no.
town thing can't do it for the
But
village.
in the past, we have asked the planning board a couple of times if we wanted to go on a site visit with them, if they were gonna do one, and they've always
Right.
said yes.
The town planning board.
No, the village.
See,
Heads up the historical society, or?
No, just
Just a
as,
resident?
just an interest, as an interested party.
but a municipal board from the patron town can't, believe it or not. Just like a town a village trustee can't serve on a town board. It's the same thing. They won't allow that. You guys should just try to get the village to start a CAC, even splinter one off of this.
Well, we're part of this, I
Yeah,
mean,
we're
Right.
part of
this
it.
is a joint,
This is joint.
it's
Oh,
joint.
so it's village and town?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
Well,
the
we're
first I've
working-
heard
I
of
think we're
that.
working
and
on, well, I don't know that we've made that formalized yet, we're working on that.
It's voted on and,
No, no,
When it was voted on initially, there was first the creation of it as a town CAC, and then if you recall, in the next month, in that February, there was a vote to have it serve as a joint town and village body, and that was approved.
and it was never
Then-
posted.
It was posted. It's actually
It's not
part of-
posted. I've looked. I've
You
gone
didn't look
through.
for that because you didn't realize it would be, but it's there. It's actually
Okay.
part of the February minutes. So if you look at the town board, it's not ours, it's the town board.
Oh, I see, I understand, okay. No, I meant for this committee.
No,
Thank
the
you,
town board.
I understand. Okay, that makes sense.
So then
Oh, that's
we
great.
went from there and we, had a formal conversation with a village representation. And that is how we have come to have Leslie and Cliff. And EJ had already been appointed
That's
as a
wonderful.
village resident to the CAC. But now we are looking, and that's why Brandon came today and sort of, resurfaced this discussion about building out the council, because now that, we're moving more quickly and formalizing the relationships and sort of building out our membership, especially now that we're doing grant work, there are a number of initiatives, and we still have the combined workload of the Climate Smart as well as the CAC. We've got the two committees, and it's basically the same membership. I think you recall that. That was a vote.
It sounds familiar, I just,
so it's great that we have a liaison now from the
Right, the
village,
liaison.
from the village,
She's
and our
been
town,
attending our meetings for.
and our town liaison's just out on vacation right now, about Fortnite. So it's good that we have two liaisons. We were hoping for a planning board liaison, but they're just not ready for that yet.
Right.
I guess we're too new, I don't know.
So we'll get there. We won't lament that much further. But those were the important things about the planning board and development site visits. But then there was some commentary that Tracy shared that I thought was important for us to hear at the meeting about 1414 and the way in which some of the decisions that were made at their last meeting sort of tumbled out and excluded a lot of what we provided to them. So, floor is yours, Tracy.
Well, like I said, we sent our recommendations, if you recall, we wanted them to we wanted them to verify, the applicant's, measurements of the trees on the border, to come up with the best critical root zone, to protect. They did not do that. They actually ended up making the critical root zone smaller than when we had first started. At the beginning, it was about 30 feet for the first tree. And then it went in closer to the lower trees. So instead, he just made it 20 feet all the way the length of the property, not considering what would be appropriate for each tree. So that was disappointing. The planning board didn't question it. They also did not note on the site plan that is a critical root zone, to be sure that when the excavator gets there, we wanted it marked out. We did not hear that was gonna happen. I did not hear that they were going to put any of the temporary fencing that we'd asked for around the wetlands, make sure, again, we've seen excavators, not looking at a site plan that closely, they clear more than they're supposed to. They did not, ask him to do that. He will put signage, but there's like 2 signs on, a whole length of the property. That's what only thing they asked him to do, but they didn't verify that was gonna be, and they didn't verify whether that was gonna be before or after
Right.
the construction. The biggest thing, if anybody heard the last town board meeting last night, I alluded to this, I sent the town board personally an email, my disappointment of the landscaping plan. We had also asked to see one, there would be none, and they're going to, approve this project, they plan to approve this project at their next meeting without one. The planning board, I think, spent more time defending the applicant as to why he didn't have to plant a single tree or buffer than spend time deliberating on the importance of such a thing. So, that was really disappointing, but when I went to the meeting, I pretty much, can see that, the moratorium, had this one not gone underneath, see, because we don't have a reminder. We're in a building moratorium, so there are not that many projects going on right now, but those that can fit under the guidelines is he's notified. It's a 4-acre lot versus a 5-acre lot. So he was able to get in under the wire. So there's a learning lesson to be learned here. There's questions I put legally to the attorney. I told him that the planning board can't be making interpretations of the code, only the ZBA that makes interpretations. So I wanted to know if these are facts, what the chairman was stating. But then again, they have their own discretion. So if there's a mitigating factor, they could ask for the trees. They didn't even try. So I was just a little upset with that. So I tackled that from my own perspective since I spoke at the public hearing for myself and my organization. So I just followed that up because that was something that upset me. There were other things I pointed out that we had pointed that there needed to be a stream buffer noted on the site plan. That had not happened. We had talked about.
So you see the theme, which
Yeah.
is.
And we identified, they did go and identify the public well, they did do that much, what was the last, and they never addressed our wanting to go on a field visit before they closed the public hearing. So they didn't take our consideration to ask for an for the extension, not to close the public hearing, we wanted that to stay open, they also had not done that. And then at the meeting, they did not pull up this report, as they would've maybe, an engineer letter. They didn't pull our report up and go through any of these, they simply made a comment that I heard somewhere, maybe the CAC said something about buffers, well, we don't have to do that. And their explanation was that, the law says if it's a residential use being built next to a non-residential use, there needs to be a buffer, to the discretion acceptable by the planning board. The chairman said that the road divides the two, because it's across the street from the firehouse. King's Highways divides the two, so that they're not adjacent. Even if the road divides the two, they meet in the middle of the road, so they are adjacent in some way or fashion. So I disagree with his analysis on determination on that, but we are only an advisory board.
Can you get these minutes, these suggestions posted
Which
on
one?
said website?
Our website?
Yeah, our section of the website.
Well, yeah.
Well, we should,
That-
this is a whole lot of, once we get all this other stuff, but it's gonna be, they're gonna approve this
Book by hand.
project in 2 weeks. I wrote my scaling email to them as well, to all the board members, I mean, they are our representatives of our community, and I felt that they were not, representing the environment in any of their decisions, but they just go with the basics, their engineer report,
And they
their,
do the minimum, so they never really seek to expand in order to serve and protect, the best land use.
so
But
so
they
I'm getting all
always-
worked up again.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I
It was
only
very,
wanted you to,
it was very
so-
upsetting
Very
because, we
tough.
worked really hard
Sorry.
to give
And
valid,
think about it, like,
we
we
gave
worked with
valid
the residents to get this
recommendations,
work done.
and they were
I
not,
see your hand,
so
so let her finish.
that was it. It was just that I thought we followed, what
We did what
was
we were
asked of
supposed
us,
to
we
do.
did what was asked of us, and it didn't make a difference, and that was disappointing.
Disregarded.
And that was really disappointing. So the only tactile approach for this was, like I said at the meeting last night, was that thank goodness there is a comprehensive plan committee working,
Right.
and hopefully, they can get some codes changed, but that's again, another overworked, and is that really gonna happen before they lift the moratorium? How much can get done before that? What are all the codes that need to get changed that are just not gonna happen?
And the other thing is that a lot of these things are more of a procedural issue. That not just a code, it's also the procedures that they follow.
Well, I think
it's
if
like,
they don't-
for example, to me, if you go to a public hearing, they should be, let's say there's 20 items that are brought up, there should be an answer
You
to
should sort of
those
checklist
20
with a response, right?
issues. I mean, I don't know, that just sort of makes sense.
And they
but,
would-
but that's
Don't
not
forget your
done.
comment, just let them finish going back.
Yeah, no, they're not consistent. There have been some applicants that have done that, they've done a question and an answer, but it seems that was just them being proactive, that's not a requirement. And the planning board, even if you listen to the replay, the applicant comes and says, well, I have answers to a few of the questions. And they still, this is a project that hadn't been, the public hearing was in July,
Yeah.
they hadn't seen them.
Right.
And then October comes and they have a
And they have
20-minute
nothing to
discussion about what they don't have to do.
Hmm.
And then they go, let's vote to approve it at the next meeting. It was just really disheartening, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, we're just advisory, and I think the back end of getting the town to address these things in code, which would require them to follow it, but then it would also require somebody to be
To enforce it.
to be holding them accountable, because even if it's in the code, they don't always do it. Like I said, there's supposed to be a stream buffer, and 7 people, an engineer, and the applicant all didn't know that. They didn't bother putting it on the plan, so that's just frustrating. So, it's a frustrating process. That's why it's important that we are created to help, but it's, you know, I don't know how much, it didn't
At
really
this
help
point, it
this
feels like
project,
we're just
unfortunately.
signaling, right, that's
Yeah.
that kind of, alright.
Almost like Dale on here.
Bill, did you have something to say before he speaks? Okay, go ahead.
Can your committee, is there a fiscal, like, way for you guys to keep a lawyer? To have an attorney
we
like
don't
John
have a budget.
Caffrey?
We asked them for one for next year. They didn't, when they put this
Right.
in place, we don't have a budget.
But I mean, even next year or sometime, is it a possibility or something you're considering?
We
haven't-
wanted,
We haven't considered that because, again, as, we don't have a fiscal
Right, right.
function, right? But that's something that we work through the town and the town's lawyer. So we are going to rely on, you know, the weight of the town board to do which is essentially like the hammering side. So all we can do is raise the flag that, you know, we are not being provided X, or that the planning board is not following whatever, and make a recommendation to the town of how to deal with that.
And second, if you'll excuse me, a second part to it is, does the planning board have their own attorney?
yes.
The planning board has an attorney, they have to.
Separate from the town's
Right,
attorney, of
because they
course.
enforce and not
Right,
enforce, they implement town code.
I
And
understand.
we don't have that
I-
as a function, other than through surveying work, and we're not there yet, but.
Again, we're advisory, so I don't even
Right.
know that we could,
Yes, there's precedent on Eastern Long Island with CACs having their own attorneys.
a CAC or or board,
It's a-
it's
I
a
think it's
difference.
Just a CAC,
Okay,
just a
It's not
committee.
The board version of the CAC?
that's what I was just asking.
I
No,
think-
no.
okay.
I understand, yeah,
Okay,
but I don't think the town paid for it. That's the problem. So I think they may have had somebody pro bono doing it.
well,
and
pro bono, that may
allowed
be
it.
something that we
Yeah.
could look at, but in terms of having a fiscal,
Right.
We don't see that coming in the budget.
I'm sorry for throwing that in there. I'm just trying to
No.
understand what.
So
I
that-
appreciate that
It's a good
idea.
option, yeah,
So it's something that we
That's
can
a
look
good,
at.
yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Bill.
I wasn't here in the beginning of the CAC, and I joined a little bit later.
When it
But
was a
it
climate
seemed,
thing, or when it
yeah,
was.
so, may I suggest that particularly if a big part of our work is to be helping with the planning board,
Mhm.
that we have a committee and a chairperson of that committee who could then also get other people not in this group, but could help them on that committee. Because particularly if they start more development, it's gonna get pretty overwhelming pretty quickly.
I know, this is, we have a moratorium right now, imagine when it all
And
comes back.
so-
That all
So
along,
my
yeah,
suggestion
we're in a
is that you would have a
interesting time.
committee to deal with, whether we may wanna think of, how do we wanna organize? And one of the ways would be to have a committee, a subcommittee of the CAC to deal with planning board issues. And I think we've got defect of that happening, but I think it would be nice to be able to name it, you know, and then any support that that committee needs, that committee can come to this group or can have other people who are not on this group join them in being able to do this.
That's, so I think,
And-
I'm sort of trying to.
Let me just,
Mhm.
and the NAP's view is the beginning of possibly our involvement in other grants and also an ongoing involvement with NAP's view. It's like an obvious thing that our group wants to have the ability to do. So I think we should have a committee for grants with NAP's view underneath it. And that way, when people are talking about it or they need other things, you can go to the chairperson of that committee and say what's going on. And that will help clarify the sort of, right now there's a little bit of scurrying, oh, here's a problem, who can help with the problem, who's here, who's not here, who can connect, who can't connect. Done through long email chains that are beyond me, to tell you the truth. I got lost several times in the email
Oh, on this, I'm very long-winded, I know, I
No,
just
no,
wanted to
but
give an
the-
update of how
the
it happened.
The chains themselves get
Yeah,
quite long.
yeah.
So I just think that as we go forward, we should maybe think of a structure for this committee where people would be doing that. And I don't know what the wonderful work for the repair cafe would come underneath. But that would, ideally there could be a chairperson to that. We know
But
who
we've
the
done that,
chairperson.
if you remember at the beginning,
Right.
so I do remember your comments
Yeah.
earlier when we were working on the bylaws, when Grayson was here,
Yeah,
that, we had these two streams of work. You know, there was the committee for climate smart community
Right.
work, and then we have the, Conservation Advisory Council work stream, like those were two
Mhm.
entities that were basically formed at the same time and were working together.
right.
And that I remember in your suggestion at the time that we be careful in trying to figure out who would do which work. And so we did break off on the conservation advisory side that we would have, and we do have, our work on planning board and development on that side of the ledger essentially. And that the other stuff, and which, the repair cafe, the electric
coolers
vehicles, the pool
recycling.
recycling,
Yep.
all of that goes under the other side.
No, I
That I'm
understand
hearing
that.
you today, and I'm just trying to figure out, in
Well,
terms
I-
of structure, what's,
We don't have enough
why-
people.
I think that
So
if,
we're growing in terms of work because of the connection to the grant writer, and I almost feel like that is blown circuits. So that folks aren't recognizing that we actually have a structure. It's not, we're not scurrying. What has been scurrying is getting a prompt 3 weeks out from a deadline for a grant. But the other work is still happening. It's just the relationship with the planning board is the challenge, but we're not scurrying on that workload.
Yet.
What we're trying to do is just figure out, yet,
yeah,
but we're just working on that relationship because we are new. And I,
suggestion.
yep, no, I get it, but I also wanna be sure that we're not, describing ourselves in a way that's not accurate to how we actually function.
I
Because
still feel though we need to prioritize though.
Right, so prioritizing projects is one
I
thing,
think
but
we
saying
need
that we
to-
have no structure is another, because that's not accurate.
We wanna focus on the things that are important. And I think this
Yeah.
group being connected to Naps View, I think that's like, that's
It's
like a
kind of
win.
coalesced around that.
Exactly.
But I know you've always said
Exactly.
that we needed to come up with our priority list.
Right,
Yeah.
and
I
EJ
mean, we
said
have
the
a
same
million
thing.
things
Pick
we're
two that we
interested
can do
in,
well and
but then
move
how do
on.
we rank it? And
Exactly.
we've talked about that
Yeah,
all along.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think Naps View is certainly, it's the top, right, that's
Yeah.
number one. And these other initiatives, which we're, although they take planning, they're kind of the one shots, like the repair cafe, but those things also still contribute to the climate smart community side.
But then when the moratorium is lifted, what Tracy's telling us
Right.
is that we
Yeah,
may
yeah,
become
the floodgates.
inundated with all of these other, real kind of heavy work that we
Right.
need to do. So we were trying to get our feet wet to see if we could set up a structure with the planning board and,
Right, I think
Right
that's
now
what,
it sounds
that's the
frust-
structural part
yeah.
that needs to be fixed,
yeah,
is
and
the
that's
planning
what's
board.
frustrating right now.
We kinda know who our experts are. But, that's to be continued on that. However, I just wanted to be sure that Tracy's comments are on the record for us and that we see it the same way. And, wanting to be certain that our agenda and pushing forward in both our relationship with the planning board, but also in our own work, that, we're cognizant of the areas that the pitfalls come. So there's
And-
more to be said, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just, like I said in the beginning of this, not having me the face at the meetings of the planning board, and I'm hoping that that treatment of the CAC wasn't due to me being involved in the CAC. And that's my thing.
Why does that matter?
No,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
that's a
saying it
good
matters,
thing.
I'm saying I hope that's not what happened, because the chairman already doesn't like me.
That's not your problem or
No,
this
but it-
committee's
It
problem.
becomes
Yeah,
a problem.
it becomes a
Yes.
problem, so
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
don't wanna be
Do
that
you feel
chairperson.
like you need more support from the rest of
No, I'm just
the-
saying, I'm not being that chairperson, because I don't want that there's already a relationship, not a very good one, that's taken 20 years to build in a bad,
that relationship.
Right.
that is not gonna
You
change.
own that.
So someone, so,
Yeah.
what do we do next is, something we have to talk about.
Okay.
Because, cause I thought these were sound
Yep.
recommendations. And it weren't from me, from this committee, and for them to dismiss them like that, is not a good sign. But like I said, if we can get things changed, so now we just talked about priorities. So, another aspect, which is in our powers and duties, is giving the town board ideas for comprehensive plan and town code changes. That's a whole nother level of work about learning from this one what was wrong. Like, I found out that, I didn't tell you about this part, the street tree issue. So if a new subdivision was coming up and he had to build a road and he puts 4 houses, the code is you get the shade trees every whatever they are. But since he's building on Pewter Circle that already exists, and there's no shade trees on his side where he's putting his house, he don't have to do the shade trees. So these are deficiencies in the code. So, we gotta make note of those when they happen, and then we gotta tackle those right away by sending them to the town board, the committees. And, it's like, it's gonna be an ongoing process, because the town code is big, and we're never gonna know the problem until it comes up, and then, in this case, it's too late, but we could be ready for the next one.
So the places where, there's an opportunity for discretion, they don't take. And when they want to do the minimal, that's exactly what, then they point to the town code. It's like, no, this is the Bible. But in the areas of discretion where the town code provides an opening, they don't want that either. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I've worked with CACs who have always had a planning board, usually a designated planning board member, as a part of, or at least
Right,
an
they don't want
attendee.
We tried that.
Mike wouldn't do it?
No, she said he was too new. Had a
He said he was too new, or they did?
No, he did, he
Okay.
decided it was just, he needed to get his position as a planning board member first.
I see.
Get his, he went there first.
If he were to change his mind suddenly, would that help?
I think it would help, I think it
Okay.
would help to have that, that's what we're just waiting for, because they said, let's wait and see. That's the kind of answer,
Understood.
we didn't get
Yeah,
we didn't get a
the
no,
job is open.
we got a, not right now,
But that's always where the shadow lies.
yeah.
Just
So I
leave
don't
them
wanna get
hanging.
to the wrong impression, since you recorded that, it was a not right now,
Right, I understand.
yeah.
And that doesn't surprise me.
So,
Okay.
yes, but in the future, yeah, it's just things are happening while that process, everything's moving forward. So we'll see how, I don't know how things are gonna go with the next project, but at least we're gonna get on the site visit. But, that's why we wanna, like Brandon was saying, we wanna encourage, getting more members that can help with those, cause, it's one thing to get on the site, it's another thing to know what you're looking for.
Yeah, bring me on the site visits. I'll volunteer for that.
So that's
cool.
what we gotta get done.
Really, I'll do it.
It'd be good to teach people how to do that. I'd be
Yeah,
interested in that as well.
that's a really important part of
Yeah,
this whole thing. This one, we got one step forward, but we gotta make sure we use it well.
And then maybe publicize the findings, so it's embarrassing that they're not paying attention to them. Again, I don't know. I don't know the cast
They
of
don't
characters
care.
enough. Okay,
Yeah, believe it or not, they don't care.
all right, scratch that.
Yeah.
Yes, go.
He kind of brings up the combination of the two ideas. Or you got a group that's looked at the code and looked at the goals for the town, that's the comprehensive plan committee. Perhaps instead of disbanding them when the comprehensive plan is complete, they'd like to come, or some of them may be able to join us and help guide that, the comprehensive plan into being implemented.
We're, since cause I wear a lot of hats, I'm on that comprehensive plan, and in the comprehensive plan, we have put in there that a committee will continue to meet. A comprehensive plan committee will continue to meet and monitor and work on see that the town board is following through with the implementation plan.
That'd be
Because there is a immediate, short-term and long-term and ongoing, categorization of everything that's in the plan. So everything can't be immediate, and only kind of put a lot of things immediate, but, realistically, only, they can only do so much so soon. But hopefully, if we had the time, we could be helping them get examples of codes, like, that when we met with the New York State Association of CACs. He told us about his library of codes that we can access and see what other people have done. We can get an example, but some of this stuff is just gonna be tailored to us, like this issue with the street tree. That is just something, I gotta look at that code, say this is what you should change, and give it to the town board, and then they give it to the conference. It'll circle around for a little while, but hopefully we can get that changed for the next project. You know, and this thing about the buffer, I need a legal, my lawyer said something different than what the planning board chairman said. I don't know what the town board, the planning board attorney didn't speak on the matter. So I don't know if the town board's going to deal with the legal issues, you know. I don't know that, can a member of the public go to the ZBA, or do you have to be an applicant? Can a member of the public,
For the meetings?
no, can a member of the public go to the ZBA and ask for interpretation of the code?
Yes,
So that may be
Absolutely.
something that I have to do, because I don't know that this is gonna get pursued.
I think depends on the particular town code, because I know in town of Monroe, you have to be referred by
By the planning board,
or
Or
the
the building
code inspector.
right, code inspector, yeah. So I gotta look into that, cause that was my issue, I don't know that
Maybe
this is gonna
something
get
that we
followed
can
up.
write up as, you know, if there's something specific that you,
Right,
other than everything else that we've talked about, if
Yeah.
there's something specific to the zoning board that
Yeah,
should
because I
probably
think this is
come from
an
us.
issue, that this definition of where a buffer has to be and not be, definitely needs to be resolved, by the town board. Cause they are ultimately in charge of it all. All, the buck stops there, they write the code, they gotta make sure they understood, the code is understandable. So, I'll do what I do on my side on that, I just wanted to keep everybody up to date on, what happened on record.
Go ahead.
just New York State OML. Somebody from Georgia can walk in to a ZBA meeting
Well,
and
meetings are-
demand clarification.
Meetings are open, yeah.
Yes, but they can demand it, and it has to be given to them. They don't even have to be a resident of that town.
We'll give that a whirl,
No, but look it up. Don't take my word for it. Just Google it.
and that's
It's,
something I'm gonna, I was
I
thinking
mean,
about
none
following
of
up
that
on
stuff. They can't be cryptic with it. They're a public body, and these are laws for us. That's the way it works.
So that was that.
Thanks for your work.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tracy.
good for you.
And, that committee that worked on the initial report.
Yeah, it's just,
Okay.
hopefully, as I said last night, I hope more people pay attention.
Okay, and our last thing, unless there's something else somebody wishes to. Okay, turns out that our fourth Thursday is Thanksgiving.
You don't wanna meet on Thanksgiving?
I prefer not. But that's all up to you guys, if you say you wanna meet on Thanksgiving, I'm here, I'm all over.
Oh, man.
I'm here with, the greasy napkin and everything, so,
Dessert.
Wanna do the week after?
I'll bring dessert, I'll bring lemon bars if you're into that.
Whoa.
What do we, what do we have,
one too, do we move everything 1 week?
I was just gonna say, what do we have upcoming on the agenda? I mean, are there pressing things? I mean, I know we tabled the one item, the bylaws. What else is on the agenda for November?
We had
So
a
far.
discussion on the electric chargers was the next one, just an update. And then looking at, I think Tracy had identified there was a project that had passed, but that we should look at it
Oh,
as an
Oaks?
example.
That Oaks one?
Oh, that's gonna be coming back,
Yeah.
Oak Woods is,
Okay.
they're trying to do the same thing, they said they're gonna take one lot off, so that they can proceed through the moratorium. So, they're good.
Those are the three.
Genius.
Yeah, so there's another project, but what's interesting, on that one is that we're actually getting a second chance, because the first applicant, they ended up selling the project. And at the same time, the town changed engineers, and, the previous engineer, was moving it fast-paced, and this engineer was trying to slow them down and say, this is more of a concept plan, we're not ready. And there was so they did talk about, we already had a public hearing on it, but they're gonna do it again, they're gonna start over, because, so that was one good thing.
It's a win.
Yeah, so as the other, had things been differently, this thing would already be cleared, all those woods would already be cleared and they'd be built already. So there's a second pass on it, and with one lot less, it is better for the environment, particularly where it's planned, but it has a lot of issues.
It also gives us a chance to exercise all of the
Yes,
sort of,
get on the site,
the new paperwork, and also having learned now how the planning board responds, to take a different tack, which is what I was telling you before, like, we could do this differently.
Oh, you know what, this actually might be a hiccup, because since that's already in the process, they probably already signed the original paper and they're not gonna sign a new one, so we have a little thing there.
We'll see.
We'll see, make a note of that, but yes, that's the next project, and it's,
Did you attend the drinking water thing? The drinking water,
Is this related to Oakwood?
talking with the DEC lady. Yeah, it was more of an informational thing, I wouldn't say that we got, a lot of, information. She was gonna, try to show us how to use the mappers, use the DEC mappers, how to identify the wells, that have permits out there, and, trying to help us what information and resources are out there that we can utilize when looking at a project, and helping the planning board, so and so and so forth. So, I wouldn't say that anything new came out of that, just more of helping us navigate the resources that are already out there. But she sees a new contact, that we need one, but I felt it was more of a review, but rather than.
This
But
was
then
the
again,
same
that's
meeting where we
another
talked about
priority.
wetlands and defining what habitat meant, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the thing that sort of struck out for me, is that we
Yeah.
need to, now that we have a better sense of how the state defines habitat, and it's got three different pieces to it, that we can now also, in looking at planning board, applications, and when someone says, no habitat found, to have them define exactly what they're talking about, because habitat isn't just looking for a nest, it's also the conditions under which a habitat could exist, the zone around in which that, they may, if you sort of think of it from the animal's perspective, that they move through, even though they may not live there, that's also considered part of their habitat. And then obviously the end is, sort of where would they live? And so when an applicant says that no habitat exists or none is found, to figure out what exactly are they saying? Are they saying that no animal that we're looking to protect exists in that zone? Then they have to prove that. Or are they talking about a nest? You go dig up a field and tell me where the turtles were. You gotta catch them by surprise. So there was a lot that we got from that session, and so I'm looking forward to also applying that information. So, back to Thanksgiving. What shall we do? So we know that we've got those three things on our agenda. The Wednesday before, there's already something happening.
What about the week before, the 21st?
The
There's something
21st,
the
this
21st.
space isn't available.
Oh, okay.
The Sugarloaf Community Foundation meets.
yeah, and we have a Kiwanis meeting that,
Yeah.
yeah,
First
the
and
first
third.
and third, so EJ and I aren't
Thanksgiving, probably best day.
available.
So no one's cooking that day.
Hey, I like this.
You like that? And,
About the week after?
Can you guys skip
move
a
it to
month?
December,
We could do December 5th.
so we would do two in
Yeah,
a month?
That's the
So we'd
first
have
Thursday.
December
so-
No, then you have
No.
Christmas.
December 26th, we wanna meet?
No.
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 No, I
Twilight, right
I
before
expect
it.
none of you, and
Can you change the day from a Thursday to a something else?
to avoid the holidays for the next 2 months.
Actually, don't the bylaws read, that's one thing that
They
stuck
say
out,
the
that we have
fourth
less
Thursday.
than, no, but doesn't it say that the CSC has to meet no less than 4 times a year?
No, what was it said?
Was it this one? Where did I see that?
No, it does have something in there about how many times we have to.
I'm just saying.
Thank you, Tracy.
Let's see.
Are you sure you still don't want to be parliamentarian?
I think, yeah, the thing we
Interim.
signed, the thing we signed with the state, I believe says no less than 4 times.
Well, we
We've met
certainly
more than
met
that, we've met that,
Oh, we meet
We
every
meet every
month,
month.
yeah, we meet
Yeah,
every
we
month,
so
but,
we're meeting
So we
Never
could
3
not.
times as much
However,
as what we normally.
but if
You know,
something
there's
comes, but
the-
something might come up, I don't know, what do we wanna have, like,
So do we wanna try to do a December meeting, but not on the 26th? We could do the
And then
5th or the 19th?
Look at the town's calendar. I like that up here. Let's see that.
First and third.
First and third,
I'm
yeah.
just letting you guys know, I have 2 meetings a month, well, typically with the comprehensive plan. Chester.
And one of them falls on a Thursday.
Yes.
And the other thing is that if we needed to, we could do a Zoom meeting and that, like, you could have the meeting and just, we wouldn't have it here. Just because I'm not available on the 21st, you could do a Zoom meeting that day.
Where's the calendar? Okay, so
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 it'd be
we're
better to
looking
have
at
it in person.
November, so
I think so,
November
I like in
is,
person.
town hall's closed that day. So when is my,
I'm opening the town page too.
I'm right, when does the, I always forget when the conference meeting, well, when's it again, October?
Mhm.
So we just had our meeting on Tuesday, so
Tuesday.
that is the 1, 2, 3, the fourth Tuesday, I'm busy. Fourth Tuesday, and the second Thursday, and the second Thursday. That's when I don't
So
have it.
December
That's-
12th is
I'm not-
comprehensive plan. And December 11th is the town board meeting.
It's all on the calendar, we're probably having to
So
cancel
we have the 4th,
the fifth,
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm working off of the Wednesday for town board. So we have the 5th and
yeah, December fifth we could do, if
the
everybody's.
19th.
Are
Oh
those
wait, no, that's
both,
the 3rd, right?
are they
Yes.
both Thursdays?
Those are both
It's the
Thursdays.
first Thursday,
You
You
yeah.
want
want
to
to-
put 19th.
You want
So it
different-
wouldn't be the 19th, so really it's, and it couldn't be the 4th. It could be the 5th, no, cause you can't, that's the Kiwanis night.
Okay, so then let's see, what do we got,
So
the
we have to
third,
move it to,
the Tuesday, no, Tuesdays aren't good for somebody?
how's Tuesday?
I can get here.
Oh, alright.
I'm coming from Ramapo, so.
What about the 10th?
5:30.
That would be the Tuesday.
I'm fine,
Yeah.
who's not available on the tenth? Oh,
She'll
more
have to
people?
rush back.
Oh. I thought you said the third. Oh, the tenth too?
It'd be Tuesdays.
Oh, Tuesdays,
Plural.
oh, sorry, then. And the 19th was no good for people? I
That's the
forgot.
3rd for the Kiwanis night,
Oh,
first and 3rd.
What about a Friday?
I can't do
I
Fridays.
think work for me,
Especially in
but,
December.
yeah.
But no, don't,
December Fridays.
you need the majority. I don't know what you got here. December's a rough
But-
month,
But I
huh?
want you to
Yeah, it's a rough
participate, so.
What about what about?
Well, how about if we
we
do
go
the Tuesday
earlier?
but a little later?
What about the early November? Oh,
So 6:30 instead of 6.
Oh, that works, oh, that's
Oh,
perfect,
okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
check
Now
your
we're back on-
calendars and look at December 10th.
December 10th?
So that we're not too far away from November.
6:30.
And we're not on top of 6:30.
Okay.
And we'll have that put out on the town
Website.
website.
And day of the week?
And that would be the
It's a
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, lovely.
Tuesday, December 10th at 6.
Oh,
Does that work?
That works.
Are you
At
okay?
6:30, okay.
Leslie,
Pardon me?
does that work for
Yes.
you as well?
December 10th?
Which is a Tuesday.
I'm assuming yes.
Okay.
I don't have my calendar.
That's here, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Dana.
All right. So if there's no objection, we'll adopt December 10th, Tuesday, 6:30, and we will not have a meeting in November. Happy Thanksgiving.
Would you send me the calendar?
Shall we move to adjourn?
I hear a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
I heard Dana.
All right, thank you very much. There's no
Thank you all.
objection.